I'm sick to my stomach. I feel so bad. If y'all watched the Flock League video that dropped right before the game, you will have seen that I traded away Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill, late last night. I thought maybe the hype's getting out of hand. Maybe I can get a reasonable price. Zach approached me. He sent me over an offer. And I traded Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and 15 fab dollars for Tony Pollard. And I'm not going to lie. At half, I thought I had won the deal. I literally, at halftime, I recorded a clip. I sent it to everybody in my league. Dancing and singing, saying, oh, look at me. I'm so good at making fantasy football trades. I'm so smart. I know exactly what I'm doing. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt hasn't hit the field once. Tony Pollard's going to play 90+% of the snaps. I'm a genius. And now I'm sitting here wishing I could do anything that wishing I could get a time machine to go back and get Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt on my fantasy team. And hell, I may offer him Saquon Barkley for him. Let's go through and let's talk about this. We can start with the Commanders, right? We pulled this up. And Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, he did nothing all game. He never touched the field. At least he didn't touch the field for the vast majority of it. It was all Austin Eckler. Every single time I looked at the screen, Eckler was on the field. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I didn't even know if he was traveled with the team. And so JCM, if you started him this week, we told you not to start him because you look at the Underdog projections. Underdog had him higher, lower 8 fantasy points, higher, lower 2.5 receiving yards, and higher, lower like 39.5 rushing yards. It's like, this guy's not startable. He's not going to get the usage. Do not start Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. But now he's going to be a must-start player almost. So we got to update our rankings. And we'll get to everything that happened in this game, but this is the number one storyline. This is the number one thing, and I am just absolutely devastated. And let's go over and let's check this out. So this is my team on flockfantasy.com. This is how my team's linked up. Again, I used to have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, traded the dude for Tony Pollard, and I thought we were sitting pretty, but now not so much. So let me go ahead. And at half, I was showboating so much. I was going through and saying, oh, look at me, look at me, look at me, that I had moved Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt down my rankings at halftime just for me to now get forced back to move him even higher than where he was before. Before halftime of this game, we had Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt ranked at RB23. We had moved him down to RB27 at half. But now that you have no Austin Eckler, like, let's be realistic about this. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt's not going to see 90+% of the snaps. He's not going to see 80+%. He's not going to see 70%. I would assume that Jeremy McNichols is going to be the receiving back, and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill, is going to see the usage on first and second downs. But if I go through and if I rank him, there's no way in hell I'd take David Montgomery over him at this point. I would no way I'd take Javonte. No way I'd take RJ Harvey. No way I'd take Kenneth Walker. No way I'd take DeAndre Swift. And like, maybe this is copium because I literally traded him before the game for Tony Pollard. But please spam the chat as I update these rankings here. Who would you rather have rest of season? And we're assuming, by the way, if you didn't watch the game, I'm assuming that you did. Austin Eckler's out for the season. I'll announce it right now. I know the people on TV aren't going to say it, but Austin Eckler's done, right? I'd be surprised if we ever see this dude again. Would you rather have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt or Tony Pollard? We got Bill, Pollard, Connor, Pollard. Pollard, Bill, Chris Rodriguez. Maybe Chris Rodriguez is active. Like, the thing is with Chris Rodriguez, the dude's nothing. Like, if you're a healthy scratch for the first 2 games of the season for a rookie to play over you, like, don't expect that all of a sudden Chris Rodriguez is going to be something. Maybe he's active. Maybe he has a touch or two. but you're not starting Chris Rodriguez. So it looks like people are kind of split between Bill and Tony Pollard. So I'm going to rank this as my God honest truth. While it is extremely painful for me to have traded away Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt before the game today, because I know that if I would have waited until after the game today, I would have been able to get a much higher price tag than what I got. Instead of me having to throw in some fab dollars, Zach would have had to give me half his fab budget. Like, I could have gotten some real juice out of trading away Ja'Cory Krosky. But at this point today, I'm going to be honest, I would still rather have Chuba Hubbard, Tony Pollard, James Conner. I'm not moving Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt ahead of RB22 in these ranks. Now, a couple things that we have to do. One, we have to nuke Austin Eckler. I'm not going to completely remove him from the rankings, but I'll put him at the very bottom for the time being. Second thing is we have to grab Jeremy McNichols, and he's probably somebody worth the roster spot at this point. The thing with Jeremy McNichols is, what's the ceiling? Jeremy, he's not going to ever go out there and handle 20 plus touches. He'll be the receiving back, somebody that if you're desperate in a deep league's worth rostering. But I think like DJ Giddens, Tyler Algier, Tank Bigsby, like these premium handcuff backs have a much higher ceiling if injuries were to occur in front of them. So like I'd say pick up Jeremy McNichols in a deep league, but I don't know in what world I ever rank him as a top 10 running back going into a week. So we'll move him up. We'll nuke Eckler, and let's go over and let's talk about the other stuff. So Jaden Daniels, 200 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, nothing rushing. So with Daniels specifically, y'all know, and this is also what I put in the clip. So that clip I submitted over for the Flock League channel. And just in case you don't know what we're talking about, I'm sure 99% of y'all do, and y'all maybe already watched the video, and I'm sure that comment section in that video is just going to be clowning on me at this point. But we put out the video earlier today talking about the trade that I made yesterday. If you hadn't seen it, just look up Flock League on YouTube. And this is the most recent video. Mason trades Bill Krosky-Merritt. But we're recording another video for tomorrow. And at half, I like victory lapped. And I was like, oh, we also ranked Jaden Daniels. I traded away Jaden Daniels for Josh Allen. Look at me. I'm so smart. I'm so smart. And Jaden Daniels hadn't done anything in half. And he comes through. And at the end of the game, he looks okay. Like he saves your fantasy day. Definitely not elite, right? You didn't have the rushing upside. But the fact of the matter is, the Green Bay Packers just have the best defense in the NFL. There's nothing else to it. Like we saw the sports books project out the Detroit Lions with a lower projection than we had seen in 2 years going up against this Packers team week 1. And week 2, they're immediately projecting out the Lions to be a top 3 offense again. Week 1, they projected the Commanders to be a top 5 offense. Week 2, they projected the Commanders to be a below average offense. The Green Bay Packers defense is elite. You do not want to go up against it. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I actually have a waiver wire claim in right now for the Packers defense in the Flock League, hoping I can pick them up tomorrow. Even though I'm starting the Ravens defense this week, I want to pick up the Packers defense because next week they play the Browns. Next week, the Packers DST may drop 30 points. So I'm not panicking with Jaden Daniels. I'm not moving Jaden Daniels down my rankings. And Zach Ertz, the guy's 1,000 years old, but at this point, I got to stop disrespecting him. We got to move him up the rankings. I had him at 21, but at this point, I'd rather have Zach Ertz over Mark Andrews. And honestly, I think you could make an argument to have Zach Ertz even higher than this. I have something against older players. I don't know what. I'm an idiot. Zach Ertz comes through back-to-back games with a touchdown. This game, he has 8 targets. A lot of this comes at the end of the game. A lot of this is garbage time. But still, regardless, Zach Ertz looks like one of the very few tight ends that you could actually start. We'll get to Tucker Kraft in a second. Terry McLaurin, I had to play against him in the Flock League today. I was looking really good at half, looking like he was doing absolutely nothing. Meaningless receptions at the end of the game, which he's whatever, right? I don't think we need to update Terry McLaurin in our wide receiver rankings. Deebo Samuel, on the other hand, oh, buddy, oh, pal, you may be going up. I had Terry McLaurin at 22 in my rest of season rankings in the same tier as Tet, Devontae Adams, Igbuka, Tyreek, Travis Hunter, DK Metcalf. I'm leaving him here. I think the thing with Terry, brutal matchup. He had the holdout in camp, so maybe it just takes him a little bit of time. I think Terry McLaurin's going to get better as time goes on. Now, Deebo Samuel is the very interesting name. This is back-to-back games with Deebo Samuel having the receiving touchdown. Obviously, at the end of the game, meaningless, blah, blah, blah. But now with this Austin Eckler injury, this is one fewer player for this Commanders offense to involve. I think that they are going to probably drop some manufactured touches for Deebo Samuel behind the line of scrimmage. So where I previously had Deebo Samuel at wide receiver 32, based off what he's been able to do as a receiver and at the same time, based off how we may be able to project the rushing involvement, I think at this point, like Devonta Smith is it's like inside my top 2 most drafted wide receivers on Underdog this year. I think our number 1 wide receiver was Quentin Johnston. He's going like wide receiver 79, best ball, beautiful pick, super happy about it. A number 2 guy was Devonta Smith. But if you could give me that time machine to take me back to where before I traded away Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, the other thing that I would do is I'd go back in that time machine and I'd draft Deebo Samuel over Devonta Smith. Like Deebo Samuel, I made fun of him, calling him fat, and saying the pneumonia was just an excuse. I'm tired of hearing excuses. But it looks like it was legit. And honestly, like at this point, I'd rather have Deebo over Zay Flowers, if I'm being honest with you. I think Deebo Samuel's a strong push over Metcalf. The thing is, like, I'm sitting with DK Metcalf in the Flock League, right? Would I trade Metcalf for Deebo? Would I trade Travis Hunter if I had him for Deebo Samuel? Honestly, Deebo to give you the viable game, even when it was the toughest matchup you could possibly ask for. I think I'd rather have Deebo Samuel over DK Metcalf. I think if I got offered tomorrow, hey, we'll give you Deebo Samuel for DK Metcalf, you just got to accept it right now, I think I would. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to put Deebo Samuel at wide receiver 24 inside the same tier as Tet, Adams, Igbuka, Tyreek, Terry, Travis Hunter, and DK Metcalf. So we'll have him here at 24. And let me publish that so we make sure we don't forget it. And then what else is there to discuss? The only relevant players here are Daniels, JCM, Ertz, Terry, Deebo. We covered them all. Now let's go over and let's look at what we have with the Packers. So Jordan Love himself is not really running the ball. So Jordan Love himself, in my opinion, remains just a streaming quarterback. Looking at my rest of season ranks, we have Jordan Love in that streaming category. You have 292 passing yards. The passing volume looks good. My thing here with Love, hell, I'll take him over McCarthy at this point. It's not like McCarthy has a ton of rushing upside. My thing with Love is if we believe this defense is the best defense in the league, which I personally do, what's going to be the true ceiling that we have from a passing volume perspective? How many true shootouts are we going to be getting? And the fact of the matter is, again, all these quarterbacks in this tier, frankly, they are just streaming options. So I don't feel like we need to be moving Jordan Love whatsoever. And then again, we're looking at the other quarterbacks in that range. I understand Caleb, Drake May, they're much worse than Jordan Love, but they have a lot more rushing upside than Jordan Love. And that's what matters in fantasy, quarterback specifically. Going over to running back, I started Josh Jacobs. He's my running back 2 in the Flock League behind Barkley. And I'll be honest with you, Chief, not feeling too hot about it right now. Because we go ahead and we look at Josh Jacobs. This is back-to-back weeks with nothing as a receiver. You're playing in a half PPR format. You're playing in a non-PPR league. Cool, who cares? But in a full PPR format, for Josh Jacobs to score a touchdown, have 23 carries, and only walk away with 14 fantasy points, it's not great. Like, because if the touchdown's not there, I'm sitting here crying that he only scored 8 points. Like, if you're not going to give me at least 3 receptions for 10 receiving yards, The floor ceiling combo's off. If you're going to have 0 targets as a running back, it's tough. Like, I will put out this note right now. I know the Green Bay Packers are a Super Bowl contender and the Dolphins are a dumpster fire. Given our league's a full PPR league, I would trade Jacobs for Achane right now. I'm going to still include Jacobs in this tier because I personally believe the Green Bay Packers are one of the best teams in the league. I think they want to run the ball over and over again. I think they're going to do that with Josh Jacobs. So we'll leave this here for now. Okay. Now, moving over to what we have with the wide receivers and the tight ends. So what's very interesting to note is despite the draft capital, the Packers do not care. They will go ahead and give Dontavian Wicks 6 targets and Matthew Golden 2. Romeo Doubs is going to get 5. The targets are distributed very evenly at wide receiver here, which makes it where the wide receivers in Green Bay, they're not that exciting. Like, let's go through and let's pull up what we have with all of these guys. So going into the week, we had Matthew Golden ranked wide receiver 44 in our rest of season rankings. We had Jaden Reed ranked wide receiver 46 in our rest of season rankings. After this game, and neither are exciting. Golden, again, you get 2 targets. Like, at this point, realistically, and with the Jennings injury and the Purdy injury, I think we want to move Jennings down. So here's an interesting question to ask y'all. So we had Xavier Worthy practicing today. They're saying that surgery is not a possibility for Xavier Worthy. They're not considering it. Who knows how true that may or may not be. But if you had Matthew Golden and you're like, man, you know what? I'm not starting this dude anytime soon. There's no way in hell I can put Matthew Golden in my flex spot for a month. And you think Xavier Worthy is going to be out for about a month? We may move Worthy ahead of Golden at this point. So looking at this, I think I would rather have, like, well, first, let's move him down a tier, of course. I think I'd rather have Shakir. I think I'd rather have Downs. I think I'd rather have Mooney. And with Worthy practicing, hell, I think I may even rather have Worthy. And yeah, I understand that Reed got injured at the very beginning of the game. Saw it. He almost had the touchdown, blah, blah, blah. Of course I saw it. But with Jaden Reed, I don't think we have an injury update yet. So it's going to be super hard for me to go through and make dramatic rankings updates with him or talk about him in a big time way where I can talk about Austin Eckler and I can go, okay, with Eckler, we know he's toast. But yeah, with Golden, I think we move him down to wide receiver 48. And that looks very, very tough. Now, what's hilarious is actually Avery, before I traded Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt for Tony Pollard, Avery had offered me Matthew Golden yesterday. And I was like, oh, interesting trade. Give me a second to think about it. Okay. Now let's move over and let's go to tight ends because Tucker Kraft, the story here, you get the big play with Kraft, which is typically rare from a tight end, right? To get a big play from a tight end, typically that's not going to happen. But we've seen it happen through Tucker Kraft's career at this point. Like, this almost is a consistent trend. We had Tucker Kraft ranked at tight end 9 coming into this, but to be completely honest with you, I'd rather have Kraft over Hawk now. If Dallas Goedert injured, Goddard has to get absolutely nuked as well. I'd rather have Zach Ertz over Goddard. I'd rather have Andrews over Goddard. So I think Kraft, in my opinion, jumps Hawkinson, jumps Kelsey. Again, I've talked about this a lot, but when it comes to tight ends, I am just a monkey clicking buttons. If you see a tight end that you think can be reliable, you have to run towards them and jam them in every single week because you're going to get a lot of random spikes. It's going to be very difficult to predict when these guys are going to be playable versus when they're not. So Kraft, we've had the big games before. We've had the big plays before. Super efficient tight end last year. Again, maybe one of my issues that I'm going to have with them is I think that the targets are going to be distributed between a bunch of different players in this offense. And I think this is a rush-first offense on a very good football team that can run the ball over and over again. If you are playing in a league in which you do not have a dedicated IR slot that you can put George Kittle in, and instead Kittle would actually have to go on your bench, then in that case, I probably would rather have Tucker Kraft over George Kittle as well, and Kraft would probably move to my tight end 5. But let me submit these rankings on the site. Obviously, I'll keep on tinkering with these for quite some time, and let me see after these have been submitted how the updated power rankings on flockfantasy.com change. And obviously, you can go through and you can see how the rankings change with your league as well. But let me go ahead and see this. I'm going to sort these by my rankings because those were the ones I just updated. So I'm still number 1 in this league. Now, of course, this is according to my rankings, but also I'm still number 1 according to the expert average as well. But if you sort by my rankings, I do believe Zach moves up because you get the bump with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt now being my running back 22 rest of season. But still very happy with my team. Still feel very comfortable with it. I think I have 4 running backs I can jam every single week. They give me a high floor ceiling combo. Josh Allen, I'm excited about as well. But of course, I highly recommend if you have not already linked your league with the site, I would do so if I were you. I mean, it's going to give you great insights on what direction you should be looking at in the waiver wire for your league specifically. It's also going to help you out to figure out, oh, like for my team, I know I really need a wide receiver. My wide receiver room is ranked 12th, where running backs first and quarterbacks first. And you can link your league for free, whether it's a Sleeper, ESPN, or Yahoo league. Yahoo, you just hit submit. It takes you to Yahoo. You log in. Yahoo sends us all your leagues, and it will always stay up to date after every single move you make. Sleeper, you just copy and paste your league ID, which you can find in the settings of the app, or you can find that in the URL of the desktop. ESPN, you have to link, or at least I would recommend linking this on a desktop. ESPN's the one that takes about 90 seconds rather than only 10. But what you have to do is you have to sign into ESPN on one window, sign into flockfantasy.com on another window, then hit get extension, open up the extension, hit sync, and then it will pull your ESPN league into flockfantasy.com. It's a pain in the butt. You only have to do it once, but then it's always constantly updated for you, and you can access it across any device, including your phone. The only thing that I'd recommend is when you link your league initially, definitely make sure that you do it on a desktop, and I would recommend not using Safari. Use anything else. Google Chrome works great for it. But I think that's going to be it for this recap. Again, I'll continuously update the rankings over and over and over again for y'all. And I'm going to be live streaming every single day answering fantasy football questions until Christmas. It looks like we have a very real possibility of hitting 300,000 subscribers, something I never thought could be possible. So I'm bribing y'all, answering a bunch of free questions in the live streams every single night. All I ask is if you could go down there and hit the like button for me, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. Promise you, I will be here to try my best to help you out this season. And also, if you want to be able to come to these live streams when I'm live streaming every day, I would recommend hitting the bell next to the subscribe button, or YouTube will tell you that we are live. But again, I really appreciate you, and I really hope we get to see you out with the live stream when we're answering your questions tomorrow.